Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. Um, yeah, it's October 19th, 2020. It's fall and we're headed to winter. Um, yeah, do you think wear a bikini on a snow-covered mountain slope this winter time? A lot of people have gained their weight since summer, and it's only a few months in summer, but people start putting on weight, and then they try to lose weight for like swim season. Memorial Day is when beaches open in East Coast. I'm in Arlington, Virginia. Um, Today is Evaluate Your Life Day 2020. Um, and I have a photo of a wedding next to it because, this show is for adults 18 and over. And being married is one of the big achievements. Obviously, for men, biological clock doesn't tick that much because, there's a spermatogenesis. Sperm is made like regularly in a male. So you get like a fresh batch of sperm once you unload the batch. But for women, they're born with eggs as a baby, and then they have the same eggs until they become barren. They stop menopause, having period. Um, so that's why people talk about women's biological clock ticking because biological clock is about her ability to get pregnant, have like a normal pregnancy. So that's when we talk about the biological clock ticking. And if you saw Melissa Tomei um, in My Cousin Vinny, it's a movie classic. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it. It's really funny. But in the movie My Cousin Vinny, Marisa Tomei, talks about her biological clock. Yeah. So, women have limited time when they could get pregnant, right? When that period passes, they could no longer get pregnant or have babies of their own. Um, so that's the biological clock because, a lot of women want to have children and be mothers, have the joy of motherhood, which is a special privilege of women. So they don't want to miss out on that. And obviously, biological clock is ticking, and a lot of women after 30 have struggles getting pregnant. And some people just become barren after 30. So, and these are same people who could have had a healthy, normal baby at age 18, 19, 20, but because they're past 30, they can no longer have children. And I've seen that happen to people. Um, so, it happens. And you hear a lot about your friends who are over 30 getting, hormone replacement therapy or having several miscarriages because their eggs are older and they don't really plant well in the fallopian tube, where they're supposed to, I mean, or in within the woman's um, reproductive system. They don't plant well in the reproductive system, so you have a miscarriage because the egg slips off. It doesn't really stick like it should. It slips off and then it goes down the toilet when you're going bathroom. So a lot of women, they have miscarriages. Some have like 3 or 4 miscarriages. Um, and some women over 30 they struggle with that because it's very discouraging, on some levels to not be able to have babies. It's very very sad. And so many women just kind of they struggle with that. Um, when they're over a certain age. And some say, they wish they'd known about it earlier, that they have limited time when they could get a baby. There were a lot of focus on getting ahead, in terms of career. They're focused on that, and they didn't really realize time passing by before they knew it. You know, and before they knew it, um, you know, um, time was gone when they could have a baby. Um, it's really sad when you hear about that. Because that could have easily been avoided had they been a little bit more conscientious about the limited time that they have um, to start a family. Obviously, some people have babies right away after getting married. Some people like to wait a year or two. Um, but if you want to have a baby when you're like very fertile, the good time to get married is between 18 to 24, right? So you get married between 18 to 24, and then you have your first child, at the latest by like 25. That's probably ideal. I've known women who got married like at 18 and had three children by the time they're 25, and they're all healthy. She's very happy, and she's more energetic because women's bodies slow down after a certain age, men's bodies too. So it's a little bit more difficult to be, doing multitasking with the physical rigors of having children and children crying, and you can't sleep, and you have to work, and so having children early is probably better than having children later, because when you're earlier on in your career, there's less responsibilities, as you take on more responsibilities, have more leadership, it's more time demanding. You got to do more work at home, higher the position, more work you bring home, um, except for CEOs. All they do is eat and you know have other people work for them. If they're good CEOs, they delegate, right? But so it's probably the best to get married when you're like, if you don't go to college, married at 18. If you go to college, married like right out of college at 22 or 23. That's probably the best time to get married because you're starting out in your career, and you may not think you have time, but relative to what it's going to be when you are in your 30s, you're going to have more time, and your body is more active, more sporty, younger, so you can handle more. You could go longer without sleep, and you have high metabolism. But once you pass like 26, 27, your body starts to slow down. If you look at yourself naked on the mirror, you start to notice like fat is kind of sticking to your butt and your thighs. And even though you exercise, it may not, you may fail to get rid of it, because your metabolism is slowing, your body is getting older, your breast starts to sag, your butt starts to sag, everything starts to sag, your arm starts to sag, you know, you, everything starts to sag. They're not as perky as they used to be when you're 18 to 22, and so biologically, you notice your body just kind of degenerating when you look at yourself, examine yourself on the mirror. Um, and obviously, what you see yourself, is what your husband will see as well, right? So let's say you get married at age 18 or 22, you're probably at the height of your physical beauty, at the peak of your physical beauty. So what your husband sees is the best version, physical version of you, like ever, and then for you, you'll be kind of it's a good thing for you to understand that you are at your physical peak of your beauty, and obviously your husband will appreciate that. And when you're 28, your husband will notice that your breasts are sagging and your butt is sagging, your thighs are sagging. I'm sure you notice your husband things sagging as well. But I guess some women care, but some don't. But with men, all men kind of care about physical beauty and the body. And men are really superficial. They don't. That's what they care about the most, physical beauty. So it's far more important to them. But women, I think they're a little bit more complex and deeper, so they're willing to overlook physical imperfections. And so you sometimes have these beautiful women with men who are kind of chubby or whatever. You see that, and you wonder, like, how could a woman that beautiful be with a guy like that? Because guys think from the model that physical beauty is the best. So when they see a woman um, who's amazingly beautiful being with a guy who's chubby, they, they look at it from the vantage point of men. Say, then they impose that onto the women. you know so they would say things like, she must be blind, like he's chubby. And you know um because the point is that guys prefer to be with a woman who looks like Taylor Swift, somebody who's beautiful and thin and tall, um looks good in a bikini, like in summertime or in wintertime, even on a mountain slope that's covered in snow, like in my background here. That's what men want. And so um, if you want to be adored, and obviously women could tell like true adoration from fake adoration. Guys have to fake it. Some do it better than others. But I mean, it is good for your mental health and psyche to marry somebody young, right? Because the husband that you marry is the one you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and you're giving him an quote experience that he feels is like heaven on earth, right? When you're like 18, 19, 20, 21, or 22. When you're like over 30, men, they know, you're kind of past your prime, and that they didn't have you in your prime. That men feel that way, and men talk about it when the men are with men, about the imperfections of their wife, um, or their girlfriend. Guys are superficial, and guys talk about things like that. Um, and so it's I mean, you see husbands trying to get their wives not to eat dessert to maintain their weight. You see that often, right? I hope my wife will not gain weight after I get married to her. Like, but I know after 26, women can't help it. Most women will gain weight. Um, yeah, that's the nightmare that most men have. They marry a thin woman and then they blow up, and then they become like three times the person that it's like you marry the one woman and then she becomes like three people combined into one. Like she's like extra large, and you marry like extra small. So men definitely are afraid of that and dread it. But obviously, what keeps men going is that she's the mother of your child or children. More children, the better, obviously, right? Um, and so, in a sense, their love for you takes a different level, right? So when you get married at the age of 18 to 22, men marry you because they worship you. You're like a goddess. You're at the height of your physical beauty. Not all the women are. I mean, all the women are at the height of their physical beauty, but not all men will think of you objectively as a goddess, right? Some women do fit that description for like 99.9% of the men. Like, Taylor Swift when she was 18. Um, so, men, when they marry a woman at 18 to 22, they think of you like as a goddess, so they love you and basically worship you, right? I mean, even Christians, like after Jesus, like, they worship, well, they don't worship you, they worship your body and your beauty, but that's you, that's who you are, right? That's part of you. That's something that is most genuine about you, your physical beauty, right? How your face looks, how your body looks, physical beauty. So from 18 to 22, and I'm talking about this because it's an evaluate your life day. And obviously, today's a day when everybody should be evaluating their life. And one of the things that you gotta evaluate is, am I on target in my lifespan? And that's why I think it's good to talk about this, and it's apropos. Um, So when men get married to women who are like 18 to 22, they marry you for you. Everything that is distinctively you, whether you're wealthy or poor. Paris Hilton, when she was like 18, she was amazing beauty, amazing body, you know. So whether you're a billionaire like Paris Hilton, or whether you're dirt poor, own nothing, practically, one rent payment away from being homeless, you know, you are what you are, right? You are how you look, you are how you are in your physical body. And so men marry you, they're actually marrying you for you, right? Your body. Um, they worship your body, whether you have your money or not, they worship you for your face and your body. That's what um, men love about you from like 18 to 22. That is the primary object of men's love. Um, when you pass that age, um, still there are women who are gifted, so they are able to maintain a decent form until about 26. I mean, it's degenerating, obviously. You're not going to be the same when you're 24 as when you're 18. Just compare your body, like compare the photos of you in a bikini. You will see a distinctive difference. And obviously, you can notice it in photos. So in 3D, men can notice it much more because they're looking at you all the time, right? I mean, you're not looking at yourself all the time, but other people are looking at you 24/7 when you're around them. And so they notice all these things about you and all these imperfections that you start to develop. People notice that, and people talk about it. Men talk about it. Men don't like to talk about when men do like to talk about women's body parts and bodies. That's just men are. Men are shallow, but that's how men are. And so when you're, I would say from 22 to 26. Men are kind of ambivalent. They're like, they know you're in a transitional phase from your height of your beauty to a progressive bodily physical descent. And they know that 22 to 26 is like the transitional period. Some women start degenerating at 22, and you can notice it, like they start gaining weight. And we give a nice term, freshman 15 or freshman 5. A lot of women who come to college at 19 or 20, they look nothing like they were when they came into college at 18. Um, you gotta watch what you eat, because you are what you eat. There's a saying, and that's absolutely true for when men, you know, when it comes to men. Men are shallow. So basically, you are what you eat. So after 26, men know you're kind of a spinster. Most men are like, what's wrong with her? She's 26 and she's not married. There must be something wrong with her. That's how men think. If you hit 26, you're kind of a spinster. It was like that in 1950s America. It's like that in 2020 America. If you're 26, most men are thinking there must be something wrong with her that no one put a ring on her. Because she graduated from college when she was 22. Like, no one liked her enough to put a ring on her. There must be something wrong. So most men, I would say all men think that way. They wonder about what could be wrong with you. So after 26, when men love you, in the back of their mind, they're kind of worried. What kind of baggage does she have? What kind of flaws does she have that I haven't seen yet? So that's always there after age 26. That wasn't there when you're 18 or 20, because 18 or 20 or 22, that's like normal age. When you could get, when you marry, it's like the guys are not thinking like, what kind of baggage do you have? But after 26, any guy you date, it doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter if he's a Christian or non-Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, Hindu, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's Asian, white, black, Hispanic. They're thinking like, she must have some kind of baggage. She's 26 and she's not married. No guys wanted to marry her. And if you tell them, oh, I was engaged, they're like, oh, why would a guy leave her when she was engaged? Um, you know, um, so it's a lose-lose situation. You tell them that you were engaged, guys thinking, man, there must be something maybe much more seriously wrong about her, that the guy who was engaged to her left at the last 11th hour. You know, I mean, there must be something seriously wrong with her. If you say you've never been engaged, they're like, she's 26 and no one ever wanted to marry her, there must be something wrong. So depending on the guy, one may be worse than the other. Typically, however, if you were engaged before and you didn't get married, that's probably worse, because most men don't leave a woman after they're engaged, you know, and men know this. So for somebody to leave you after engagement makes you look really bad, you know, because it's like he's committed to you to marry you. He's made a verbal commitment, and then he backs out. I mean, there must be something seriously wrong, because men say my word is my bond. If they're engaged to you, they're going to marry you unless there's something seriously wrong. So it's a lose-lose situation. Once you pass 26, there's no way you can win, really. So obviously, if you're a woman evaluating your life on an Evaluate Your Life Day, that's something you got to seriously think about. You're not like a spring chicken. You're not 18 anymore. You can't afford to let the guy drag you out. I mean, you can't be like dating a guy for more than a year without an engagement ring if you pass 26. Because I mean, I would say if you're after 26, your timeline should be, the guy that I date should be proposing to me within 6 months to a year. Because you have to put a timeline on, or it's going to drag out. Before you know it, you'll be like 35, fat and ugly, and no guys will want you, right? If you don't put a timeline on it. So you have to say, like, if you pass 26, my recommendation to you, and you do what you want, but my recommendation to you for your own happiness is you give a guy 6 months to propose to you. And if he doesn't, he probably will not propose to you. You should move on to the next guy. Because, most men know whether they want to marry a woman within a couple months of dating a girl. That's just the way men are. If men want, like, the reason why men sometimes like sleep with and live with a woman for 6 years and they don't get married is because he's not sure. But men generally know within 1 or 2 months whether he wants to marry a woman. Generally, like I'm talking most men. If he doesn't know by like 2 months that he wants to marry you, then he doesn't want to marry you. He's not going to marry you. He's not going to ask you to marry you, whether you live with him for 1 year, whether you live with him for 2 years, whether you live with him for 5 years. I've known guys who live with women for 10 years and just dropped her for a younger woman. Things happen, like those things happen all the time in the men's world. And men don't blame men who do that. They're like, if she's stupid enough to stay with that guy for 10 years without a ring, then then she's stupid. That's how guys think. And I mean, she could have walked at any time, but she didn't, right? She just gave him free sex for 10 years, and then he just upgraded to a better car, a better model. I mean, if she was smart, she would have put a ring on him and bound him to a life of love, because guys are dogs. Guys can fall in love with 10,000 women easily in a lifetime. I think that's how guys are. There's no such thing as one true love for guys. It's like, guys can fall in love, madly in love with like 10,000 women in the same way. Guys are like, the guys are superficial. If she has beautiful legs, she's thin and pretty, oh yeah, guys will fall madly in love. 10,000 different women. That's just the way guys are. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth, because you may think like men only believe they have one woman that they're going to love. Now, why do you think all these pastors and elders and deacons have sex with women who's not their wife? Because men are dogs. If you don't put a leash on them, even a pastor, elder, deacon, we have a sex with a woman who's willing to give him sex. That's just guys are. I mean, they'll repent and ask God for forgiveness. They'll be forgiven, but but they will. 9 out of 10 guys in the church will have sex with a woman, pretty woman who is willing to let him have sex with her. Just the way guys are. You know, I mean, geez, you think like Christians, deacons, elders, or pastors are like sinless? No, they're sinful and with temptation. I mean, they have to fight their sinful desires. That's why they advise in pastoral counseling. Do not put yourself in temptation because you're going to fall. So pastors expect elders, deacons, and other pastors to fall if they put themselves in a situation where they're compromised. They expect people to sin. So that's something that, that everybody understands that in the man's world, that every man is corruptible and will fall to sin, just given the chance. Now that's why you got to put a short leash on your husband. You can never trust a guy with a woman. That's just a reality. And that's why there's a term, men are dogs, and this term exists in every culture, every country, every religion. Yeah, because men are men. And you have the saying in America, boys will be boys. But yeah, men are men. They're like dogs. They sniff any pretty female butt that passes by. So basically, you got to put a leash on your husband. Don't trust the guy. It's not about it's not about your relationship. It's just guys are that way. You can never trust a guy. The reason there's so much divorce in America, over 50%, because women trust the guy. That's the reason. If you trust the guy, of course he's gonna sniff some girl's butt and have sex with her and cheat on you. I mean, why are you surprised that he cheated on you? I told you that's what guys do. That's what guys do. Guys are not going to refrain from sex because he loves you. Geez, for God's sake, what world are you from? I mean, you're not in kindergarten anymore. Guy could be madly in love with you and have sex with 5 different women. And maybe he may, feel quote love during moments of sex, but he thinks he genuinely loves you. I mean, if he put a ring on you, he's your slave, basically, so he knows his whoop by you, so he's going to always return to you because you're like his master, so he may sniff around and have sex with other women, but he's always going to go back to you because you put a leash on him, you domesticated him, with the wedding ring, so he's going to always come back to you. All married men are like that. And as long as you put a leash and you tighten the leash and pull his neck, he's gonna move away from any woman that he has sex with who's not his wife. Because he's not whooped by them. You whooped him. He's been whooped by you. Because you put a ring on him. The other women that he's having sex with, they didn't put a ring on him. He doesn't see them as his master subconsciously, but he sees you as a submaster because you're the wife. Yeah, that's just the way guys are. You just pull that chain, leash, you own them. But some women are stupid and they're like, oh, you cheated on me with the girl. Oh, so I want a divorce. These are stupid women. Because if you're going to put the leash off, of course he's going to wander around and have sex. It's your fault. You put the leash off. What do you expect your husband to be faithful to you? Are you an idiot? I mean, since the beginning of time, men have not been faithful to women if given a chance. That's in the Bible. There are people in the Bible who are our fathers, our fathers of faith who've had sex with women who are not their wives. Look at David. David is our spiritual father. He goes around having sex with a married woman, Bathsheba. Do you remember that? And he's considered a man of faith in the Bible that we're supposed to emulate. And King David has sex with a married woman. Yes. Why is the Bible brutally honest with us? Because the Bible wants us to know what men are like. If you trust your husband, he's going to have sex with other women. So don't go around saying, oh, you had sex with another woman, because that's what you should expect. You should expect your husband to have sex with other women if you trust him with other women. So you're the idiot, right? You put the leash off. You're the one who's responsible if he goes biting and having sex with another person. You are responsible for unleashing him. You shouldn't have trusted him. And that's what the Bible teaches about marriage. You know, you should never trust your husband with another woman. Doesn't matter if she's your sister. It doesn't matter if she's your cousin. It doesn't matter if she's your best friend. Who do you think your husband's going to have sex with? Your sister, your best friend, you know, your cousin? Because that's how men are, you know? So don't be shocked. I mean, you're the one who trusted him. You're the one who basically gave him the green light to have sex with your sister or your cousin by putting him with your sister and cousin alone in the middle of the night, or, you know, whatever, you know, compromising positions. And you're like, I'm going to trust my husband. No, it's in man's nature to cheat on their wife. That's what the Bible teaches. I'm just giving you the Bible version. I'm an expert of the Bible, so I'm giving you advice from the Bible and also from life experience, you know, because I'm an alpha male, so I understand how men think. Yeah, if you trust your husband with other women, it's your fault. If you put a tight leash on him, he's not going to cheat on you. And if he cheats on you, he's going to be one of the rare ones, right? Because if your leash is tight enough, how could he cheat on you? That's impossible. Yeah, so evaluate your life daily. If you're a divorced woman, you should blame yourself for the divorce. If you trusted your husband around other women and he cheated on you, it's your fault. Because rule number one in marriage for women is don't trust your husband with any woman. Doesn't matter if she's your sister, doesn't matter if she is your cousin, your best friend, your maid of honor, doesn't matter. Do not trust your husband with any woman alone. The rule number one in marriage, if you violated that rule number one, the fact that your husband cheated on you is your fault, 100% your fault, because you know what his nature is. He's a dog. All men are dogs. Franklin Graham is a dog. Joel Osteen is a dog. John MacArthur is a dog. You leave them with Victoria's Secret model, they will have sex with her. If you put them in the same room, lock up the key for 24 hours, they will have sex with her. Because they're men. Don't get shocked. Why do you think they try to not put themselves in a compromising situation? Because they know they can't control themselves. Men cannot control themselves if they are in a situation. They have to escape. My uncle was a seminary student in Japan. He, you know, during Japanese occupation, the nobles, Koreans who are nobles, they had a friendly relationship with Japan. You know, it's like any other nation, you know, nobles, like when India was a colony, India's Brahmins had good relationship with England, and they went to Oxford or Cambridge. And in the same way, when Korea was a colony of Japan, you know, I come from like a noble family, my mother's side. So they went to college in Japan. It's kind of like Indians going to like Oxford or Cambridge. So my grandfather, my mother's father, went to seminary, Christian seminary in Japan, a Presbyterian seminary to become a minister. And he lived in an apartment building. And one beautiful woman in that building like showed up to his room, like apartment, and when he opened the door, like she was naked. I guess she took off her clothing when she got, you know, I don't know the full story. I heard it from like my mother. And he ran away. He just ran outside because he knew he couldn't control himself if he stayed inside. This was when it was a seminary student. So he never cheated on my grandmother. But because my grandmother was in Korea when he was, no, she wasn't in Korea. She was in Japan with him. So maybe it was like, maybe not in the apartment. I gotta ask my mom again. It might have been maybe in the seminary, when they're in the seminary, one of the rooms. I don't know. I can't remember, you know, but my mom was saying like this beautiful Japanese woman wanted to have sex with him. So she was like undressed herself, or she showed up naked or whatever, and he just ran out the room. So I guess it wasn't his own because my grandmother, my grandfather were married, and they were in Japan together. So yeah, so I guess yeah, but if he didn't run out, he probably would have had sex with her. Like if the door was locked and he couldn't get out, I have no doubt he would have had sex with her. Because men are like that. You can't trust men with a naked woman. Are you kidding me? Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if my grandfather didn't have sex with her. I'd be like, whoa, what was he like feeling ill? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it's not just a woman who wants to have sex will have sex. The guy will have sex with her. That's just the way things are. Um, yeah, I mean it's not So women who trust men, it's your fault if your husband cheated on you because you gave him the trust. That's your fault. You cannot overcome biological dictates. You cannot overcome human nature. So for you to trust him, his love will not withstand the temptation. That's 100% guaranteed. That's in the Bible, and I know this from, like Men's World. The reason that, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had sex with his housemate. Probably like Maria Shriver left him alone. I told you, all guys will have sex with a woman who wants to have sex with them. They're not going to refuse. You know, I mean, unless they're really, even if they're ugly, they probably would not refuse. But if they're pretty, they're not going to refuse. Um, so that's just the way men are. So Maria Shriver is getting all like uptight and like, if she left Arnold Schwarzenegger alone with their housemaid, um, then it's her fault. You should not trust your husband alone with anybody, and you single woman alone. I mean, it's like rule number one. So, so Maria Shriver, do you hear about her at all now? See, this is what I call stupid women. Woman who gets divorced with a husband because he cheats on her, and it's her fault because she trusted him to be faithful when it is in man's nature not to be faithful. So she's like the stupidest woman alive, Maria Shriver. I have no respect for her. She's an idiot, stupid idiot. Because you leave somebody alone with a woman, they're going to cheat on you. It's your fault. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's fault in the sense that he actually screwed a woman. But you expect that. He's going to do it. King David did it with Bathsheba, and she wasn't even in his room. He just saw her naked, bathing from a balcony. So you expect your husband to be more faithful to God than your David? David is seen as a paragon of faith in the Bible. Bible represents David as paragon of faith. Jesus came from David. Actually, Jesus came from Bathsheba, and David, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, we could talk about that another time. But yeah, I mean, Maria Shriver is the stupidest woman in the world. Because any woman who trusts their husband with another woman alone is an idiotic woman. And it's 100% guaranteed he will cheat on her if she's willing to have sex with him, and alone. I'm saying 100% guaranteed, 90% guaranteed. I mean, you may have exceptions to the rule, but exceptions prove the rule. So when you're evaluating your life, like if you're divorced at 30 because your husband cheated on you because you trusted him with your best friend, you're the idiot. You trusted him with, I mean, don't blame your husband because he's going to do what dogs do. 100% of the men are going to be like that. I'll be surprised if the kid doesn't cheat on you with your best friend if you leave her alone, him with her. Yeah. Evaluate your life day. You have to be smart to be happy in life. If you're dumb and stupid and trust your husband with a single woman, then you're unhappy because you are being stupid. I'm just saying things objectively. And then if this applies to your life, then you understand what's happening in your life. You were stupid, so you have all this unhappiness. You understand what's going on? Yeah. This is why knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you can ensure your own happiness. Um, yeah, knowledge is always power. Ignorance is not bliss. It's important to know uh, that all men are dogs and that you need to put a leash on him, and that's just rule number one. Obviously, no man wants to have leash put on him. Have you tried to put a leash on your dog? Nobody likes to have a leash on them, but you have to, if you don't, if you have to ensure your own happiness. You can't leave it up to chance. Um, I thought I'll share with you photos of professors that I've dated, or I've known. Or I had dinner with or meal with. So the professor on the left, she's from Tennessee. She's pretty, isn't she? She teaches at a University of Tennessee. She's professor of education. She's taught for over 10 years in the field of education training teachers. I met her at Kappa Delta Pi International Honor Society. Um, and we just met and we just shared, a meal. It was nice, a banquet dinner meal. It's nice to dress up, have some fun time, just kind of getting to know each other and stuff like that. So it was fun. And then the photo next to that is a expert of Jewish history from Spain, from Madrid. She got her PhD from University Complutense University of Madrid, which is like the Harvard of Spain. And so I invited her for lunch, and we had lunch. It was nice, getting to know her. And that was in Poland during the European Association for Biblical Studies conference. She presented her paper on Jewish studies. I presented my paper on Jewish studies. It's like scholars get together. Next to that is a colleague. She teaches Jewish studies at Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. And she's pretty, right? And I was like, well, so I asked her to dinner or lunch. So we shared lunch, over, and then, it's nice getting to know her. That was in Estonia. It's a country near Finland. So we had, fun. And then next to that is a professor at University of Edinburgh. Doesn't she look like a college student? She got her bachelor's, master's, PhD, like all in 6 years. Yeah, she's brilliant. She's a genius. And she did it at Cambridge. She was at Peterhouse, which is a college in Cambridge, and she did bachelor's, master's, and PhD in 6 years, all of it. So in America, college takes like 4 years, right? So she was like, what? She was like, 24 when she got her PhD, so she's like, so I mean, she kind of looks like a college student because she's, close to the college age, 1 or 2 years away. So yeah, she teaches Jewish studies, Old Testament at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, which is the best university in Scotland. And I met her in Poland at the European Association for Biblical Studies conference. She's holding up her name tag. She's the chair of the Animals in the Bible section. I was looking forward to seeing her in August in Wuppertal University in Germany. That's where this year's European Association of Biblical Studies conferences. So that was 1 year ago in Poland at the University of Warsaw, where the annual European Association of Biblical Studies conference was, 2019. So, but unfortunately, because of COVID, the conference was canceled. So I didn't get to see her again. It would have been nice. I mean, she's like such a perfect woman, in every way. She's funny, she's pretty, she's smart. She's already a professor at Edinburgh University, like at age, what, 24, 25? I didn't ask her age, but around that age. So she's like, she's ideal, somebody could marry, have children with, she's within the 18 to 26 age limit. And so, but anyway, life is like that, what can you say? Things happen, that you didn't expect. I was expecting to be in Germany in August, and I was just like building up to it. She sent all of us like email about the animals in the Bible. So, I was getting all psyched. And we were thought COVID would go away in August, but no, the conference got canceled. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. And it seems like we won't have European Association for Biblical Studies conference again next year. I don't know which country it was supposed to be, but so I don't know. I may never get to see her again. I'm like bumming, in that regard. As you know, I'm not married, so I'm praying to God that God will send me somebody beautiful, and then to marry. Beautiful is number one, thin is number two, and tall is number three. Those are like my top three criterion after like someone who's Christian. Other things are not that important really. Because you could, I mean, you could, I have like tons of women colleagues who are brilliant. I don't want, I don't want to marry them. Yeah, I like talk about Jewish studies with them, but I mean, I don't want to marry them. So like if I want to marry somebody, I want to marry somebody who looks like that, like somebody who's pretty. Um, right? I mean, you're not going to be talking about Jewish studies when you're having sex every night with your wife. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, hopefully not. I mean, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Um, so it's kind of like I think the most important thing for women is their physical beauty. I mean, I've never met a guy who said I love my wife because of her personality, or I love my wife because of her, you know, intelligence. I've never met a guy who says that as like top choice. They people who say that are like men who marry women over 40, who are kind of fat and ugly. So they don't want to lie to other guys because they won't believe them. If they say, I married my woman for her body because they're fat and ugly. So they can't say that, right? You know what I'm saying? So they may say, well, she has the nicest person in the world, which is not a compliment when a guy says, I fell in love with my wife because has the nicest personality in the world. It's like his way of saying, I know she's ugly, but I know I'm not an alpha male. I may not even be a beta male. I may be a gamma male. But hey, she's not all that bad. She has like, you know, redeeming characteristics. So don't like look at me like a chump. That's what he's saying when he says I married her because she has a PhD, or I married her because she has a good personality. That's like his another way of saying like, yeah, I couldn't get a pretty one, so I settled down with someone that I could. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just being totally honest with you. And guys all know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't have to explain. I'm explaining now because I have a lot of audiences who are women who don't understand men's world. In men's world, we don't have to explain it. We all know. It's like male culture. It transcends religious boundaries, social boundaries, ethnic boundaries, economic boundaries. All men know what we know because it's like DNA. It's in our genes. Yeah. Yeah, see why I'm an alpha male, I get to, I'm always around pretty women, it just, men know I'm an alpha male. Women want to date me, I don't know why, because like sometimes I go to like a completely foreign environment and I still end up with like really beautiful women who don't know that I generally go out with beautiful women. So I guess it's like, they feel the mojo, when I walk in the room. I guess women feel the mojo. I don't know, but wherever I go, I generally end up with the most beautiful one. What can I say? But I want to marry one. When I lived in Israel for over 3 years, I like all Jewish women, and I spent a lot of time with like beautiful Jewish women, But they wanted me to convert to Judaism, because they wanted to marry me. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to convert to Judaism. Christianity is the one true religion, Why don't you convert? I didn't say it like that. That sounds bad, but you get my point. Um, yeah. But anyhow, yeah. Um, yeah, we have like 420 deaths recorded in the 24 hours, but it's Monday, People are kind of lazy, it's like fall, entering winter. People are slowing down. So people will probably send in more figures tonight. Um, so we have 220,086 people have died so far, and 8,208,093 people have, gotten the COVID. And we have 330 million Americans. So there are over 320 million Americans who have not gotten COVID yet. So yeah, this thing is forever. We're gonna have COVID this flu season. We're gonna have COVID next flu season. We're gonna have COVID flu season after that. It's like next 10 years, you're not gonna be able to escape COVID. And it's 365 days a year. It's not like you wait for the flu season and you're okay until then. You get COVID anytime, throughout the year and die from it. Yeah, lucky us, right? So I have top 5 list from Asia. Number 1 is India. And look at this lopsided infections and death in India compared to other Asian countries, top 5. Yeah, so India, I don't know. Maybe they're doing a lot of dope, because if you do marijuana, you have more chance of getting COVID, being susceptible to COVID and dying from it, according to some studies, and I don't know. Maybe there are more people doing dope marijuana in India. I don't know. But there's something seriously wrong with that picture, right? India has 7,550,273 cases. So it's catching up to America. They have 114,610 deaths. So 2% are dying. Bangladesh is number 2, and look how significantly lower it is. 390,206 cases, 1% death rate, 5,681 have died. Indonesia is number 3, and 365,240 people have gotten it, and 12,617 people have died from it. So 3% death rate. So yeah. So it's like 3 times the death of Bangladesh, right? Or not quite 3 times, but 2.5 times. And you round it up. Philippines is 359,169 cases, 6,675 died from it, so 2% death rate. Pakistan has 323,452 cases, and 6,659 have died from it, 2% death rate. So you can see like not getting infected is half the battle. Because if once you get infected at 2% death rate, you could have 114,610 deaths like in India. So yeah, try not to get infected. That's the way to survive COVID. Yeah, today's topic is COVID-19 USA. Is COVID-19 fatigue setting Americans up for failure in the flu season? By failure, we mean death. As you know, I'm Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. And I'm predicting that 3 million to 30 million people will die by June 2021. And we're going to have a super spreader nationally in Halloween. That's coming in like 10 days. You're going to go trick-or-treating or Halloween parties, right? So you either get COVID, spread COVID. So we'll go to the next level of COVID spread nationally after Halloween. And that's like expected. Yeah, but as I said, we estimate 3 million to 30 million to die from COVID by June, June 2021. Some people are like, carpe diem. If you're going to die, you're going to die. I'm just going to have fun, man. You have a lot of people like that, millions of people who are like, hey, if you're going to die, you're going to die. I'm just going to have fun. That's, So some of them will get COVID, some of them won't. But, so you can see like 3 million to 30 million dying by June, right? Is that attitude? But, well, a lot of people have that attitude, which means you're definitely looking at 3 million to 30 million deaths. So first article is Fauci absolutely not surprised Trump contracted coronavirus after super spreader event, like Halloween is a super spreader event. But Trump was like that too, right? He's like, hey, dude, if I get it, I get it, So, Trump is like the cool guy, And Joe Biden is the nerd, you know. That's why Trump is more popular than Biden. Because who likes nerds, right? Like you all been to high school, right? I've been to American high school. The coolest guys are like the ones who are like taking the risks, right? Those are the coolest guys, right? Jerks, like jocks. I sat in the nerd table with Ed Mosang and Joe Garver, who were co-valedictorians. I was a salutarian. So three of us, like nerds, ate dinner, lunch together. But I was pretty cool, but cool people like me. But in one birthday, I invited like the cool crowd from Philmont Christian Academy to my birthday party. Um, and Joe and Ed, obviously my best buddies came, and Joe's mom, Mrs. Garver, is like, "Why did you invite them?" And like she was like warning me about them. I don't think I've told Joe and Ed about it. Maybe I did, but my dad brought a church bus. He was a senior pastor at First Korean Presbyterian Church, so he brought a church van to bring all my friends to my birthday party. But Ed and Joe were kind of shocked because all these like cool kids came to my birthday party. Well, it wasn't really a birthday party; it was like a Korean dinner. It was a pastor's home Korean dinner. My mom prepared the feast, and so it was just a dinner, birthday dinner. But it was fun. We had a lot of sodas. I think Ed went through like 10 cans of sodas because he couldn't like Korean food is spicy. So yeah, 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 but it was fun. But anyway, yeah, but like, Donald Trump is like the cool guy and Biden is like the nerd. And that's why, Trump is kind of more popular than Biden because of that. Everybody likes a cool guy. Um, this article is by Antonia Nuri Farzan, Rick Nowak, Siobhan O'Grady, Brittany Shamas, and Darren Sands, and Rice DeVault, right? And NBC News. Um, and So the quote that is significant is Anthony S. Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, said he was absolutely not surprised when President Trump contracted the coronavirus soon after attending a Rose Garden ceremony last month for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett, where few people wore masks. When I saw that on TV, I said, "Oh my goodness!" Dr. Fauci's in there. Who talks like that, right? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yeah. No offense, Dr. Fauci, but that's the way nerds talk. Oh my goodness! Nothing good can come out of that. I mean, geez, man, it's like super nerd. Like nothing good can come out of that. No, Dr. Fauci is a super nerd. Let's be honest here. He is the top infectious disease expert, which means he's like super nerd, right? He's like the super nerd of nerds. He's like nerd of nerds. Jesus is king of kings. Dr. Fauci is like the nerd of nerds. So he talks like a nerd. I mean, geez, who talks like this, for God's sake? When I saw that on TV, I said, oh my goodness, nothing good can come out of that. Yeah. Do you personally know people who talk like this? You have to know total geeks, total nerds to actually hear this in real life. People talking like this. It's like, but anyway, next thing he said is nothing good can come out of that. That's got to be a problem. It's just like, man, this guy is like super duper nerdy. You know, I like Dr. Fauci. I respect you, Dr. Fauci, but the way you talk is just nerd talk. It's too late to change. He's like over 70. He's probably been talking like that all his life, probably since middle school. He was probably sitting around in middle school table with rank 1 and rank 2, talking like that. Like my table, my nerd table with Ed Mosang and Joe Garver. Oh, it's not really that much of a nerd. He's kind of a nerd, but I guess he's a nerd. Yeah, all of us are kind of nerdish. Um, Although Ed and I, we became the dudes. So we kind of, reinvented ourselves as the dudes. And I've shared with you some dude stories, right? Yeah. But I guess three of us were nerds like that. Although Ed doesn't talk like that. Joe May. Yeah, I could see Joe talking like that, Joe Garver. He's now a professor of philosophy at LaSalle University in Philadelphia. So some of you in Philadelphia may have had him as a professor of philosophy if you went to LaSalle. I think he teaches several mandatory philosophy courses because it's a Catholic university owned by LaSalle brothers. I think they require like some like philosophy classes. Fauci told CBS News 60 Minutes on Sunday. And then sure enough, it turned out to be a super spreader event. Jeez, my gosh. Oh man, I mean, do you know people that talk like this? Man. No, I think it's endearing, I guess, in a way. Just don't talk like that, like when you're with cool people, You know what I'm saying? Ah, yeah, you know what I'm saying. If you're like a jock or whatever. Um, so, yeah, second article. Trump calls Dr. Anthony Fauci a disaster. I mean, if you talk like that, it is a disaster if you're a cool guy. I mean, I totally understand where Trump is coming from because he's kind of like in the cool crowd, right? So that's a disaster. I mean, he's just trying to be nice. Yeah, it is pretty much of a disaster when you hear somebody talk like that. It's like, what is this, high school or something? I mean, I think Dr. Fauci just should have kept his mouth shut because, I mean, yeah, it's true, but I mean, geez, I mean, don't belabor the point. And don't humiliate the guy. Don't humiliate the popular cool guy in national TV. That's like rule number one in high school. You know what I'm saying? I mean, President Trump, don't give Dr. Fauci a wedgie now, though. Um, the quote is President Donald Trump on Monday said the government's top pandemic fighter, Dr. Anthony Fauci, is a disaster. Wait, I mean, the way he talks, it is a little bit of a disaster. I mean, geez. He could have said something else, like, I mean, I don't know. Nerds are not always known for being tactful. That's one of the fatal flaws of nerds. They like to tattletale. Mrs. Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones. He's like writing on his desk. That's like Dr. Fauci probably. When he was in middle school. As you know, I'm a public school teacher. I've taught eighth graders. At Petersburg City Public Schools. I've taught fifth graders in Washington, D.C. public schools, District of Columbia Public Schools, DCPS, Savoy Elementary School. And, I love all my students equally. And I try to like shield nerdy students, who are just asking to be beaten up. You know what I'm saying? So I try to protect them, obviously, from the cool kids who want to beat them up. But sometimes they say things. I'm like, man, they're like asking to be beaten up. Asking to be taunted. But I mean, I don't say that obviously. I don't want to. I want to be nice to all my students and take care of them like they're my children. But I mean, you may have children, like 3 children, and one of your children are like really nerdy. And then so you kind of know. You're like, man, what I mean, in your mind, but you're not going to say that. Maybe you do. So the President Trump on Monday said the government top pandemic fighter, Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci, is a disaster and possibly an idiot. Well, I mean, he's a social idiot, maybe. I mean, he's obviously not an idiot, like in terms of science. I mean, he knows his science. But as he claimed that Americans are tired of COVID-19, well, that's true. Like, all Americans are tired of COVID-19. I think that's true. President Trump is right about that. Even as the number of coronavirus cases continued spiking in much of the US. I mean, this thing's going to happen for decades. If you can't like be cool about it and you do something stupid, then you're going to die. I mean, it's going to be around for the next like few decades. And if you do something stupid, you're going to get it and die. I mean, but you can't blame people for like being sick of it. But you could be smart about it or stupid about it, and I think you should be smart about it. That's just my advice, because COVID-19 is probably going to kill 3 million to 30 million. And you may have this attitude, hey, que sera, sera, carpe diem, or some of you be like, kamikaze, I'm gonna have fun with my party and trick-or-treating and Halloween parties, come what may. But I don't think that's the wisest decision, knowing that this is a killer virus. So you have to decide for yourself what you want. But it is a killer virus that kills, COVID-19. So, but anyway, yeah. Anyway, I hope that you'll be well and you'll be safe. I mean, it's kind of entertaining watching like this feud between President Trump and Dr. Fauci. It's just like the cool guy versus the nerd. We're seeing this like high school White House high school play itself out with the cool guy and the nerd uh, in the national scene. It's kind of fun. It's entertaining. It makes COVID-19 more entertaining. That's why a lot of Americans are going to vote for President Trump, even Democrats, because he's entertaining. Can you imagine having a boring guy, Biden, as president right now? You'd be bored stiff. You're like, but President Trump is kind of entertaining. He's like tweeting out all these crazy stuff. It's kind of entertaining. He makes life fun. So I think people are going to vote for President Trump. A lot of Democrats, because he's just a fun guy, and people like fun. So I think all the nerds in CBS, NBC, I don't believe in the liberal media, a bunch of nerds, living in their nerd world. Somebody should make a song about that. Nerds living in the nerd world. That's like CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC. All these journalists who are nerds. Well, some journalists don't look like they're nerds, but they probably are still. The nerd world is not the real world. The table where Joe Garver, Ed, and I sat, that's not the real world. It's more like the bizarro world, the world where like the nerds live. It's like 1% of the world's population or America's population live like nerds, And then you have the cool kids, and then you have everything in between. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Yeah, but well, let's see what happens. I mean, I think President Trump is much more popular than Joe Biden among America's working class, just because he's just cooler than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is like a dweeb. I mean, what can I say? He's like a dweeb. He married this nerd Dr. Biden. Her Twitter is like Dr. Biden. Who has like Twitter like Dr. Biden? So she's like a super duper nerd. She's probably more nerdy than Fauci. She's like nerdy with extra grind. I mean, are you going to respect the guy who marries like a super duper nerd? Who tells everybody to call her like Dr. Biden? Or are you going to like the guy who married the model? You know what I'm saying? Hands down, people in America are going to say, hey man, I don't believe the liberal media made up a bunch of nerds, Dr. Fauci is, he's a nerd, but he's kind of like, we need him. He's a nerd that we need, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, President Trump is obviously like the cool guy, the cool dude. Whichever Americans are probably going to vote for the cool dude, President Trump. I think even like a lot of African Americans, I think they just don't like Joe Biden, because he's such a dweeb. I call him Tin Man Joe because he doesn't look like he's a heart. He doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't impress you as like a real person. He looks like a Tin Man Joe, right? But President Trump is a real guy. He yells, screams, tweets stupid stuff out like people So you can relate to President Trump, but you can't really relate to Joe Biden. And just the cool odometer. President Trump married the model. Beautiful model. So in the men's world, like he's an alpha male by definition, marrying a beautiful woman like that. But Biden, I mean, Mrs. Biden is pretty attractive, but she's like, she's like Nurse Ratched, that category of women, who's like extra grind, call me Dr. Biden. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that works if you're at a university or something, or a hospital where you're actually Dr. Biden. But like when you're running to be a first lady, like she has like that, Hillary Clinton, women did not like Hillary Clinton. I could guarantee you women don't like Joe Biden, Dr. Joe Biden. I don't believe the liberal media that tries to make her look good. I think just women just don't like Joe Biden. That's my opinion. Kind of like Hillary Clinton. So like women who don't like Joe Biden, you know how women could get. They'll vote for President Trump just because they don't like Joe Biden. So that's what I'm thinking. Um, President Trump hasn't been able to exploit that yet, but his team Trump is like made up of idiots who don't know what they're doing, in my opinion. No offense, I'm just, I guess that is, well, I mean, President Trump uses the word idiots. I'm just, just using his term to describe, things. So, and I'm talking about Tim Trump using President Trump terms. Um, so, yeah, I mean, they don't know what to exploit, in order to deliver President Trump the victor. These idiots in Team Trump. But American people could tell like who's cool and who's dweebish. They could see it, and that matters in elections. Just like it mattered in your high school election. You didn't choose the smartest, super duper Dr. Fauci guy, did you? No, you chose the coolest guy to be your class president. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way things are in life. You can't run away from it. I became the vice president of Georgetown University graduate student government because I am cool. What can I say? You know that song, I'm too sexy for my, I don't know. Someone else has to sing it. But that's me. Like when I go to dance floor anywhere in the world, like in Paris, Berlin, London, um, Warsaw, I'm like at the center and the women just like come to me like magnet. And like I could see my blubber like kind of jumping away like jello, but I don't know, it's kind of darker in the, disco room, so you don't see the blubbery. But yeah, I do have like a couple inches I could pinch on the side. And that's like rotating around like tire, car tire, but more like a jello. And but women still gravitate towards me. I don't understand. But hey, I'm not gonna complain. It's kind of like Americans not wearing a mask and thinking they're not gonna die from COVID. Some people. I mean, I think they know, but they just say it. But it's kind of like that. Hey, if the women pretend like they're not seeing my blubber and they're going to gravitate towards me, hey, more power to me. I'm not going to complain and remind them, look at my blubber. Why are you coming towards me in that skimpy little, red dress, which looks like a half a bikini, or whatever. I'm not going to do that. Obviously, I'm asking God to send me a woman who looks like, that, for marriage, you know, somebody. I've never been married in my life, and I don't have any children, so it's like my first marriage. So hopefully, marry a beautiful woman. We have a lot of sex every day, for years and years, decades and decades, and have a lot of children. That's the ideal, obviously, right? Um, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully God will be gracious, but it's in God's hands. Yeah. Anywho, did I share a little too much? I'm not gonna lie to you. You may die of COVID before Christmas. I may die of COVID before Christmas. There's no reason to lie. I mean, geez, I'm just gonna tell you what really is. What the German says, was wirklich gewesen ist. It's like what really was, was wirklich ist. What really is. Yeah. But anyway, I want to do a cheer for my CNL 2020. It's like my family for 2 years at Georgetown. For one of those years, I was the vice president of Georgetown University graduate student government because I'm just a happening guy. What can I say? you know, but I still think of my clinical nurse leader people family as my family. So I'm just going to do a cheer. CNL 2020, yay! CNL 2020, yay! Yeah, I love you guys. What can I say? Um, it's 2 years. We could say like it was like 2 years of living hell at Georgetown. Uh, you know, but you know, we learned a lot. You know, we survived, 25 of us, and we started out with like 34. And technically, we, from my cohort, we started out with 34 and we ended up with 24. But Billy, oh yeah, Billy took his NCLEX RN last week. He should be having like results today. Maybe he will have it tomorrow. Yeah, he hasn't sent anything on the group chat. I hope he didn't flunk it. I'm sure he passed. But you know, um, yeah, maybe the results come out tomorrow because we had the weekend, you know. But yeah, so um, yeah, and so you know, I think about my core members. You know, I love you guys. You know, you guys are like my family. You know, um, so yeah, I mean, it's you know, you know, now we are graduated as of August 24th. And you know, yeah, now we, you know, well, not everybody's RN nurses yet. I took my RN NCLEX RN exam on August 31st, 2020, like 1 week after our graduation date of August 24th. I mean, I broke the record. You know, I passed, obviously. Um, you know, and you know, I mean, you know, people are beginning to take NCLEX RN. So, you know, some people are planning to take it like in November, some in December, from what I understand. So, you know, I'm trying to get my core members to come to Virginia Hospital Center. You guys should come to my Virginia Hospital Center. Our new cohort for RN residency starting in January. So it'd be cool if you could join Virginia Hospital Center. Just keep the fun rolling, you know. But anyway, yeah. So I you just want to do my cheer again. CNL 2020 Georgetown University, yay! CNL Georgetown University, yay! Um, yeah. So I hope that you will tune in tomorrow as well. It's a daily show, and I'll bring you more facts and figures, things you need to know, because as you know, I march for your life. I march for your life. So that's why I created this show on April 2nd, 2020. Let your friends know about this show. Let your college buddies know about this show. Your high school buddies, your middle school buddies, your elementary school buddies, your relatives, your cousins, your coworkers. Yeah, let them know so you know they can get important information they do need to know to survive COVID. And obviously, you gotta make your own decisions about life. But I would say, you know, be smart. You know, be smart about surviving COVID-19. Yeah, everybody's sick of COVID, but it's here to stay. It's kind of like, you know, that crazy aunt that you may have. You're stuck with for life because she's like your aunt, and I'm sure like President Trump's children can relate to that. You know, is it President Trump's niece who's like bad mouthing him on TV? I mean, you know, there's no such thing as bad press, right? Anything people say about you just keeps your name out there. So it's not really that bad, you know. I mean, you know, more people who gets to know you, that's the better, right? So yeah, let them bad mouth you. It's a, you know, no press is bad press. Um, yeah, but anyway, you know, it's like that crazy aunt, you know, or that crazy sister that, you know, President Trump, is it a niece? You know, but the crazy relative that President Trump has that everyone has to put up with in the Trump family. It's kind of like that, you know. COVID-19 is like that. It's going to be around. You gotta avoid it, you know, if you can. Sometimes you can avoid it. You know, life is like that. Um, Obviously, you know, just don't be going meeting your crazy aunt all the time. You know, it's like, you know, wear your mask. You know, try to socialize on Zoom or online if you value your life and you want to live to be 100. But if that's not your priority, you know, you know, what can I say? You know what I'm saying? What can I say? What can I say? Yeah. But anyway, I hope you are well and that your family will be well too. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.